How you doing?
Good morning, sir. How are you all today?
Fantastic.
All right. Welcome to the Bulleit Experience.
Thank you.
You all are at the old Stitzelweller plant that was built here in 1935. Our anniversary was Derby Day of this year.
Oh, really?
This facility turned 82 years old.
Wow.
My name's Perry. I've been here 47 of them years. So when you get tired of listening to them, you come back up here and talk to this old man.
Absolutely.
Alright guys, my name's Alan. I'll be taking you around the facility today. We've got a 45-minute tour. Heard about Stitzelweller before, but I'm assuming the reason why everybody is here today is because of Bulleit bourbon. So when you pulled in, you probably didn't notice any Bulleit sign or anything like that. It's just the Stitzelweller, large Stitzelweller sign out there. We kept it with their name out of respect. I'll start off with the Bulleit story. Bulleit was started by a guy named Tom. Tom's from Louisville, Kentucky. He grew up in the Clifton neighborhood. I don't know if anybody is familiar with that area of town. He went to the University of Kentucky where he studied law. After he studied law at Kentucky, he went to Vietnam where he was a Navy corpsman. After that, he came back to Louisville, went to the University of Louisville and studied more law. And he wasn't done there. After that, he went to Georgetown University in Washington, D.C. where he studied some more law. After all of that was done, he decided he didn't want to do that, and came back home to Kentucky and decided to take on an old family recipe with bourbon. So in 1987 is when Bulleit was officially launched. So before we go into the testing facility here, I'm just going to show you this little model. So first we'll start with the ABCs of bourbon. There's plenty of different rules, regulations that it takes to eventually be considered a bourbon. There's a lot of misconceptions that's also involved with that. So A, has to be made in America. A lot of people think it has to be made in Kentucky, but it's actually not true. Although 95% of the good stuff is made in Kentucky. B, it has to be charred in a brand new white oak barrel. And C, in order to be considered a bourbon, it has to be at least 51% corn. So here at Bulleit, our bourbon consists of 68% corn, 28% rye, 4% malted corn. So we're kind of known for having really high rye content in our bourbon. Gives a lot of spice, a lot of kick. Once you have all those grains together, which they call cereal grains, send them down here into the mill. Once they go through the mill, all of the grains will end up looking like this, like powdery. This is actually corn. Once it passes through there, it'll go down into the mash cooker. You'll hear it referred to as sweet mash or sour mash a lot of times on a bottle. Once it goes through here, it's ready to enter the fermentation tank. Essentially, this is what we would call distiller's beer. So really, it would be a beer. It wouldn't be anything probably too tasty that you want to go ahead and drink, but essentially, that's what you're going to get here. Once you get your distiller's beer, it'll come through here to the still. This is what you know as a copper pot still. All of your mash will go down into here. As soon as it's heated up, it'll rise. The vapors will rise. It'll enter the condenser. Once it enters the condenser is very cold. It'll make all those vapors end up going down and forming into a liquid. Then it'll process through the tails tank here. Now there's 3 different types of alcohol we have to sift through. There's the heads, the hearts, and the tails. We want to get after all the hearts, all the good stuff. The heads and the tails, a lot of bad stuff. They said it'll make you go blind, a lot of methanols and stuff like that. They actually end up using heads and tails for different products such as nail polish remover. Once it comes through the tails tank, essentially you've got a moonshine or a white dog. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of that, or drank that, it'll change your perception pretty quickly. Once you have that, come through to the holding tank. After it comes to the holding tank, go into the barrel proofing tank. This is a really important stage in the whole process. Because of law, it cannot enter the barrel at higher than 125 proof. So this is where they generate it to make sure that it's not above 125, add more water and such. Once they've got it to a certain level that they're comfortable with, it's under 125, it'll enter the barrel. So once it has entered the barrel, the brand new charred oak barrel, after 1 year, it's earned the name Kentucky Bourbon. After 2 years, it's earned the name Kentucky Straight Bourbon. But only after 5 to 7 years has it earned the name that we're proud to call Bulleit. Coming here, you probably got a nice whiff. Probably hit you right in the face. I remember my first tour when I came on, it was very apparent. You probably noticed there's a lot of machinery in here, namely a lot of copper. So they started using copper back in 1933 for a couple different reasons. Number one, because it was a lot cheaper to use than other materials such as stainless steel. Also, they found that copper was a very good conductor of heat, which works. This is the test. This is not where we make all the Bulleit product. This is almost like a testing facility for when we get a wild hair inside, try a new product. Recently in here we've worked on a 100% rye whiskey on both of those stills. It's a local company from in Louisville, downtown Louisville. They're actually really cool to also go over there and take a tour of that place. What we will know about today, that on a hot day, we have garage doors open, sitting in there hand making all the stills. 9 of the 10 stills on the Kentucky Bourbon Trail use pheno. More than likely you've had bourbon that's been used by a pheno still or distilled with the pheno still before. That is what is called the angel share in the bourbon industry. Kind of the idea behind that is they call it the angel share because the angels get their share and in turn they protect us from any fires or any natural disasters, stuff like that. So we call this warehouse inn. You can see on this 2x4 right here, it's 28 rows, 32 barrels deep, and 7 stories high. Wow. You'll notice, well, you might not be able to notice today because it's a little cool, but if it was hotter outside and you walk in here, you can tell definitely it's a lot cooler inside here because the barrels kind of act like an insulation. There's really not much real insulation. As you can see through the wood here, it's kind of just a piece of sheet metal all the way up. Having said that, it gets a lot hotter up top. There's been days, it gets to be about 100 degrees in Kentucky on certain days, and it might reach 125, 130 degrees up there at the top. So along with that, the bourbon up higher is going to age faster than the bourbon down here. So that's how Bulleit, that's how we get a consistent product. We don't rotate our barrels. Maker's Mark is actually the only distillery that does rotate their barrels. This is what you would call a stave. This is where you'll get generally 32 on average. You can make a barrel, but sometimes that's not a set number. It can be 27, it can be 35. There's not really any real set number on that. There's a char that they char all these barrels. Mainly it's going to be for your tasting. So if you've ever had like caramelized onions or anybody had a creme brulee or something like that, so you get a lot more flavor that way, caramelized. You'll also get a lot more color as well. So, as I said, when it gets hot in Kentucky, it also gets very cold. Kentucky's kind of a perfect climate to age bourbon. So when it gets really hot, all of that liquid is going to try to escape through the pores in the wood. So you can see the pores in your wood is very similar to the pores like on your skin. So it'll try to escape, it'll go through the wood. As it gets colder, it will try to go back into the barrel, release or bring in a lot of those vanillas, caramels, oaky, maple flavors back in with it. That's where you'll get 65 to 70% of the taste of bourbon and 100% of the color. These barrels are 53-gallon barrels. They only fill them up to about 51 gallons to start, and then they might end up getting 30 to 32 gallons when it's all said and done. So they do lose a lot. All of these barrels generally live to be about 90 to 100 years old. So their journey doesn't stop when we're done with them. When we're finished aging our bourbon, we'll break them down back to the staves like this, put them on a pallet, and we'll ship them over to Scotland. And there's a company over there called Johnny Walker that's also owned by Diageo, and they will start the process of aging their Scotch over there. Once it's done with Johnny Walker, they'll send it down to Mexico to another Diageo product, Don Julio. And if they're still in good shape after that, they'll actually retire on the beach in the Caribbean, aging Captain Morgan spiced rum. So if you believe in reincarnation, you might want to come back as a barrel. It sounds like it was a pretty sweet deal to me. This is actually the oldest building on the premises here. This is what you would call a cooper shop. This is where they would come to repair any barrel in any of the rick houses that was leaking. You can see some of those that were leaking out of the barrel on the side of the Angel Share there. So they would bring them in here to start the process of repairing them. The first they would bring them over to these, you guys know, it's okay, to weigh them out on this large scale here. They would want to get an accurate weight on all the barrels. For an example, I will just say the hole was like over here. First they would take the top ring off. Put it in like that. Put the top ring back on. And as you would put the bourbon back into the barrel, those reeds would swell up and you would have a fixed barrel. We would fix all the barrels, and they still do that to this day. Alright guys, so this is our owner Tom Bulleit's office. It was originally Pappy Van Winkle's office back 30s through 1965. He's not here today, obviously, but if he was here, he'd be sitting in this chair, doing a lot of work, probably acting like he was writing something down, and he would stand up and he would individually shake all of your hands and say, "Hi, I'm Jack Daniels." He's a jokester. He would do that a lot. So there's plenty of memorabilia, stuff to talk about in this room, but we'll make it short and sweet. And this bookshelf behind you, in the middle there is a photo of him when he was in Vietnam. Call that photo Vietnam Tom. Several degrees over here from the 3 different universities in which he attended: University of Kentucky, University of Louisville, and Georgetown University. Let's see, underneath that is probably the largest family photo you've ever seen in your entire life. His wife, Betsy Bulleit. Her maiden name was Boone. So if you ever heard of Daniel Boone and that whole story, she was part of the Boone family. Underneath that are all of the clays that Mr. Bulleit and his son Tucker missed while trying to shoot. Not supposed to all be full like that. All of the artwork you'll see in this room, most of it was done by his daughter Hollis, such as this painting up here. She also designs all of the labels for Bulleit bourbon, picks out the colors, and does all the designs on all of her bottles. She's pretty good at that. Behind us is the limestone map underneath Kentucky. So there's solid reason as to why our bourbon is so good. Perfect water source. I can notice the high rye content, a little spicier than other people's.
20 plus, whatever they use to do it. And then, of course, our chemist or analyst, whatever you want to call it, he blends those to get that taste.
Yeah.
And he does a one super job, according to the people that I've talked to.
Yeah.
I've drank a little of it here, but I haven't had enough to be a connoisseur on it yet.
No.
Yeah. Which one's your favorite?
10 year.
The 10-year Bulleit.
I like the 10-year.
Yeah.
It tastes like the old bourbon that I had when I was a kid growing up, sneaking around getting
Right. Sure.
But that is my favorite.
Good deal.
Are you the one who's been here the longest?
Yes, sir. I'm the last one. There's nobody here.
You're the keeper of all the secrets, then.
There you go. That's
wow.
right. Got one maintenance man still here that he's only been here 29 years, and I've been here 47. So I've almost doubled him.
That's amazing.
No doubt.
They used to say there were like Ku Klux Klan rallies back here. Is that true?
Well, I've heard that. I never did see one.
Yeah.
But I heard it way back when they first opened it. There was, but I never seen it.
You never saw it? Oh, that'd be amazing. That'd be amazing.
And I've never seen no actual paperwork on that either.
Yeah.
Which they may have not been none.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Perry.
Okay.
I like
Take care.
Nice talking to you all.
You too. Take care.